sure
Doesn't everybody have the moments where you think you're recording something, but you're just recording your face?
I've certainly done it on my iPhone, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Welcome to Weddings Uncensored, where we drink and talk and talk and drink. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Allie, and we are breaking down the good, the bad, and the downright crazy of this whole wedding industry in the new year.
Woo! 2024.
Cheers to 2024.
Yeah.
We made it.
I'm ready for a good 2024, though.
Fuck yes.
Like a really, really good one.
I am manifesting so much positive shit.
All
it
the
is
good stuff.
Crazy.
Love it.
My manifestation skills are put to the max right now.
I'm speaking everything into existence right now.
I've been saging. I've been pulling tarot. I got crystals on my side. Whatever we got to do.
I see a gold ring around you.
It's my aura looking good.
I was told I had a gold ring around me too, so I was like, yes, we need to make this
fresh.
We need to make this happen.
We are going to make it
It's going to
happen.
be a great year for
everybody.
everybody.
It's going to be a good year. And I'm super proud of us for finishing almost exactly a year of podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
We decided to do this whole thing last January,
No.
and now here we are.
Over Wahoos.
Oh.
Damn, we should have brought Wahoos today.
We'll do our anniversary lunch there.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. I'm cool with
but we're super grateful to our listeners and viewers, and we've got a lot of really exciting stuff coming up this year.
we do.
It's like what influencers say, right?
I just can't tell you about it.
We're working on a really secret project, guys.
And you should really look forward to it.
Tune in.
Because it's going to be great coming in 2024. Now, what day that actually is, we have no
what are we
fucking
actually
idea.
doing?
We have no fucking idea. First, it was like, oh, we want to do this in October of 2023. Now it's like, March.
Well, busy humans that run multiple businesses
It's
and
kinda
have
hard.
families and friends and personal lives, like the podcast is so important to us, but really still at this point, it's kind of a passion project, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we can only dedicate so much time to this.
Yes.
And hopefully with the help of the viewers
Yes.
and help of something that's coming down the pipeline later in the year, hopefully we can do this more often.
yeah, and we can dedicate
make
some more
it even
time.
better. Yeah.
Exactly. So as we have been working on this super secret project, now we really are teasing it like annoying. I was like, we should just talk about it. But we have been kind of breaking down wedding planning, and that's kind of what we do on this podcast anyway, right? It's sort of like getting a little more granular with it, though. And so today's topic is, I don't know, moderately boring, however, very important, necessary, and something that literally almost every single wedding, I would say, has, which is layouts, seating charts, table assignments, seating assignments, and all of those pieces.
I have seen it where multiple couples are so upset about the table seating assignment the day of the wedding because obviously a lot of stuff changes the day before.
Yeah.
So I've seen it where someone makes this really sick this is where everybody's sitting and it's hand painted,
gorgeous,
and it looks fucking great. And then I go up to the couple and they're like, "Don't fucking look at that. It's just
It's
30 of those people are missing.
Exactly.
We had to move a bunch of people around.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's always issues on the day of with seating assignments.
Always.
It's a real.
It's a
I
realistic
was going to say
issue.
pet peeve. It's a real pain point as wedding coordinators because we are in charge of making sure the seating chart works and is accurate and people get to the right table. And if, grandma shows up when she wasn't supposed to or whatever, kind of fixing that. So it's definitely a big piece. And it's also kind of a annoying and difficult task because it is something that has to wait towards the end of wedding planning, probably the final couple of weeks.
Maybe a couple of days.
Yeah, often the last couple of days because there are so many last minute changes. Yeah. But really you can't work on your seating plan that much until you've got a lot of your RSVPs in. And so it is just a task that has to kind of wait until the end. So because of that, it's good to start thinking about it early and kind of starting to come up with some ideas and plans. I mean, you likely have a good idea of maybe 60 to 70% of your guest count, right? Family and friends that are going to be there for sure. And then you can kind of fill in as you go. So we'll kind of break down some of the different jargon and I guess sort of steps of creating this seating plan and thinking about all of the different pieces.
Sounds good. I'll just give the perspective of what Steph and I went through at least.
Yes. You just have to give your opinions.
Yeah,
That's what you do.
Opinions. Opinions.
So when you're thinking about your overall layout and design, likely the dinner or meal space is a really big piece, right? So what kind of tables are you going to use? Are you using long tables? Are you using round tables? Maybe you don't have an option. Your venue comes with this is what it comes with, and that's what you're going with. And in that case, great.
Cool.
But there are a lot of different variations of table sizes and, you know, ways to make things flow better aesthetically. Obviously, some people really love the look of long tables. Yeah. Round tables typically are more efficient with size and space. So if you have a smaller room and you love the look of long tables, it unfortunately may just not work with your guest count. So, you know, there's a lot of limitations and things that you may have to work with. And it may not just be all about the design. I think it's also important to think about your meal service style. Okay. So are you doing plated dinner? Are you doing buffet? And especially, are you doing family style? Because if so, and it's crazy, this is all like, it comes up a lot. Like with wedding planning, there's so many domino effect like decisions, right? Like you don't think that like your meal service is going to affect your floral design that much. However, if you're doing family style service, you want to make sure there's plenty of room on the table for all of those big platters and things to come out. We do weddings where literally we have to just remove all of the centerpieces and candles from the table.
Because they don't have enough space.
There's not enough space for all of it. So it's like a little silly. And then you've just spent $5,000 on centerpieces that nobody even really gets to enjoy because we have to take them all off the table. So there is kind of a lot to think about when it comes to the just overall table layout design.
And I think too, like, even thinking of how big the circle tables are.
Yes.
Because sometimes you can fit 8 and sometimes you can fit 12 or you can fit 12 and you can still have that centerpiece, but it has like, what's that? The Lazy Susan thing?
Yeah.
But if you have 12 people, you probably won't be able to fit
exactly.
a Lazy Susan.
Right.
But if you did 8, you might.
Right. And think about too, like, you know, okay, so 60-inch tables can fit up to 10. Just to really complicate things, if you're using chargers, it only fits 8. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to think about. But I would say overall, less tables is better. You know, from a cost perspective, every less table is a less linen, less chairs, less each centerpiece is going to cost $250. Like, exactly. So if you can consolidate people, I think people are sitting for 45 minutes to an hour of this whole day, right? So if they're a little squishy or whatever, and that's kind of like my personal opinion, but I think in general, people don't mind being a little bit more intimate for dinner as long as, you know, they're getting fed and are uncomfortable, obviously.
As partly an introvert, when there's more people too, I can rely on other people to carry the conversation during dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, versus me, I'm just like, I'll just listen.
Yeah, for sure.
More people makes it better for me to just be quiet on my own.
Yeah, there you go. I don't think anyone that listens to this podcast thinks that you're an introvert.
I bet there are some people that who
get it,
who understand that I'm an
extroverted introvert.
I'm an introverted
extrovert.
No, I'm an
extroverted introvert. Yeah,
that's what it is.
I'm an extroverted extrovert.
It's only because I'm with you that I feel so comfortable to just like blah about everything.
I bring it out of people. What can I say?
This is true. You are a lead party animal.
Party animal.
As I derail the conversation again.
New Year, same you, baby.
Yep.
Yes. So as you're looking at your table designs, you know, kind of just thinking about a lot of the different factors of like, I guess what the finished product kind of is going to look like is important to think about early on. And the general question I get a lot is just like, do we even need to assign tables? And the like overarching answer is yes, you do. Unless you are having a very small wedding, like 40 people or less, and it's very casual, like you still have to have some kind of assigned seating.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's just a shit show. And it's not only like for you and the aesthetics and the catering and whatever, but I also think it's a service to your guests. Like if I'm going to a wedding and I don't know that many people, I would prefer to have assigned seating. Wouldn't you? I don't want to have to like go and sit next to grandma or like be awkward and like my whole family didn't end up fitting at this table because we didn't have the allotted space. Like I want to sit with my kids, whatever it is, you know? So it really is a service to your guests to take the time and effort to put this seating plan together.
And if you want the guests to have the greatest experience, make it easier. So have even the DJ or the officiant also like coach of like, hey, we're going to do this and then we're going to be doing this after. And you'll notice the table assignments right there as soon as before you enter.
Yes.
That way it's like, oh,
people like guidance. Yes, they like guidance.
They know that the bar is right over there next to the seating assignment. So as soon as you get your drink, you can find out where you sit.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, exactly. So thinking about, the design and just the functionality of like what your tables are going to look like. I think the next kind of big piece to consider is, where are you guys as a couple going to sit?
Ooh, yeah.
So typically there's really 3 options. There is sitting amongst your guests, which is a thing. You could sit at a round along with everybody else. There is the kind of traditional head table or king's table, which could be you guys sitting at a long table, either with your whole wedding party or with your family. So you're still the head of the room and kind of like the focal point, but you're not alone. And then the third option, which is probably the most popular, I would say these days, is a sweetheart table. And that is when you're just sitting, the 2 of you, at a smaller table, probably.
Usually.
Also at
maybe it's elevated.
Yeah. Also at the head, so that your back isn't facing anybody and you are kind of still the focal point.
Yeah.
So I'm usually a big fan of sweetheart tables because it just looks better in photos, and you can give your 2 cents on that.
Yeah. No, I can vouch that when you want a photo of just you 2, you kind of have to have a sweetheart table.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you have, whether the king's table or round tables, like as soon as the camera comes out, everyone is going to flock to you and they're going to want to take a photo with you. So now, not only, you have to think too, like how much time are you actually spending, quote unquote, alone just with your person, right? Like if you do a king's table, well, your whole dinner, you're with other people. Yeah. Other people are going to come up to you, regardless. You have a sweetheart table, but especially when you don't have a sweetheart table, people are always going to be coming up to you if you're at a king's table or a round table, because you have the guests around you that are constantly talking to you. So the extroverted introvert says definitely sweetheart table would probably be the way to
and we go. Have some clients that prefer to sit at heads up. They're like, I don't want to just sit alone. Like I want to be with my best friends. I want to be with my parents. I never get to see them. They're flying from across the country. Like, what, and so there's a lot of good reasons for doing it, but for aesthetic reasons, if you think about like the photo of someone giving a toast and like looking at the couple, right? Like that likely is in front of like a sweetheart table. Like it's going to look cleanest and best.
And it's not going to be distracting either, because when you look at the photo and you're standing next to a sweetheart table, you can tell this person is speaking to the couple, right? But if you have that king's table and you take the same photo, like granted, the moment is still there. Yeah. But you're technically distracted by like, oh, who else is there in this photo or in this video moment?
Exactly. And you may also not care about that.
And that's totally fine.
And that's totally fine, because
I don't give up.
More than likely, like these sweetheart table photos are probably not going to be the ones that you end up framing. Yeah. But a lot of people choose to have the sweetheart table also because it's like a really good opportunity to repurpose your ceremony decor or have kind of like a real like moment, like the neon sign behind it, or like extra florals, like whatever. It can be a really pretty opportunity for some design. Yeah. Exactly. So no right or wrong answer, but I think I usually guide people in the direction of a sweetheart table just for those reasons.
If they don't know, I feel like it's a good default. But if you want to do something different, do it.
Yep, absolutely. So then you're going to kind of design where family, other VIPs are sitting, and of course, like just the rest of your guests. There's lots of different strategies for this, and I think everyone knows their own family dynamics and drama and who to keep together and who to keep separate. One of the advantages so there's assigned seating and assigned tables. Okay. Assigned seating is actually putting whose butt is going to go in which chair versus saying these folks are going to go to table 10 and they can sit wherever.
I see.
So,
because usually they'll have like the little name tags or something of like, oh, this person is sitting here.
Correct. So we'll get into like that jargon of like escort cards versus seating place cards versus whatever. But one of the advantages of doing assigned seating would be grandma and Uncle Joe hate each other, and we really need to make sure not only are they not at the same table, but like their backs are to each other so that they're not, you know, there. Again,
I didn't even think about the backs being to each other. They could be on the other side.
No, I've had a
I've
had a ton of clients that are like, they cannot make eye contact like this whole event. Or again, like you're trying to enhance your guest experience, right? So like making sure you're sitting next to the people or across from the people that will encourage that best conversation, or you know, we're putting these people together. If you have guests that are very obvious, like this is all my college buddies, like we're going to put them all at one table. Yes. Great. And I think there's probably a few tables at every wedding that's really obvious to group together like that. But there's always the randos, like your two work buddies and then like this one guy that's your neighbor or whatever.
We'll put them in the miscellaneous table.
Yeah. So
they'll be sitting by themselves. They'll have a few empty chairs.
Yes. So, I mean, I hear a lot of clients that are very like worried about that. Like, I want to make sure that they're entertained at dinner and blah, blah, blah. Again, it's a short amount of time that they're actually sitting and doing this.
If they want to get up, they can go to the bar.
If they want to get up, they can. They're eating. There's toasts happening at the same time. Like, don't stress too hard about it. They will be fine for that 45 minutes and they can, you know, move on if they need to.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Have you seen like activities or like games or anything done at the dinning tables?
The dinning table.
Is that what it's called?
The dinning table.
When you sit down for dinning.
They don't even say dinning. Yes, I have seen. So there's a couple options, I guess, is I will see games if couples hire an MC.
Yeah.
If they don't have an MC, the DJ's already usually, if the people are eating and the couple is eating, the DJ should also be eating. So usually a playlist, honestly, is going on during that time. Mm-hmm. But if activities are going on, there's usually a DJ or two DJs and then an MC. Mm-hmm. But games could be like, you know, the lift in the shoe.
The shoe game.
That one's fun. Or, I can't remember on the top of my head, but there is a few vendors where they do a great job of hosting and entertaining throughout the night. So I think if you do want to entertain and you want guests to have a good like eating experience or be able to do fun stuff, I think looking around for it would be super helpful.
Yeah, and I think some people like that, and some people, like, again, you don't have to, right? People are fine just eating dinner. Like, you don't have to fill up every moment of this wedding day with shit. Yeah. I've also seen something as simple as like, you know, fun facts about the couple, like on each table, so that just kind of encourages conversation. Yep. You know, family style meals kind of encourage conversation because we're passing around food. I think that can be kind of nice.
Oh, I remember like sometimes different tables can have different theme names. Mm-hmm. So like there was one couple that had like different albums that they really liked, but like the full actual like album.
That's cool.
At each table. So it was always a talking point for people to reference of like, oh, this person has this thing at this table. So
the disposable cameras are coming back in trend. So
those.
Putting a disposable camera at each table, that kind of like, again, encouraging interactive. I can't talk today.
Interactions.
And then we've talked about this before on different episodes, but couples who take the time to write a personalized thank you note or something for each guest, I think is really nice and special. Like,
it takes time, but I mean, it's very thoughtful.
Yeah, we're all about just like enhancing that overall guest experience, and I think that's really cool. So, consider who you're grouping, how you're grouping them, you know, how you're directing them to your tables, and then what's their experience like once they get to that table, other than just the food.
Yeah.
What do you think about kids' tables?
If you have kids at the wedding, I think that's a general. That's the first topic. Is if you have kids at the wedding, do you want them to sit with probably the parents, right?
Well,
if it's like any age between like 15 and below, probably next to the parents. And then if it's more than a few kids, like a kids that could fill their own table, sure, I could put them if they're like teenagers.
Do you? Because I, as a non-kid owner, like, would you feel like you need to be with your kids
100%
to eat that? Like, to eat them?
To eat them? Yes, 100%.
Oh
they do have to be with me if I want to.
What is wrong with my brain? No, but like,
I know what you mean, though.
I think people like the idea of like, oh, we're going to have this separate kids table, but like the parents kind of need to be involved with actually.
Yes.
So you'd prefer your kids be sat next to you.
Well, my kids are 4 and 2.
Yeah.
So they absolutely need supervision.
Yeah.
With forks and knives and spoons and glass plates and glasses and water cups and bathroom breaks and all of that. So absolutely. Kids have to be next to me until I feel like they're independent enough, or I know that other guests are around their age.
Right.
Like, cool, I knew that all your cousins were going to be there, and 6 of your cousins are roughly 1 to 2 year age difference.
Yeah.
And you can go to the bathroom on your own, clean up after yourself, and order your own food.
Yeah.
You know, like, then you can go sit at your own table. That's fine. But like, I feel like honestly anything younger than like 15 years old, I would probably just put them right next to their parents. Put them next to
their parents, yeah.
That's just me, though.
I think so, too, because I think otherwise the kids' table becomes a shit show, and their, parents are like, oh, they're fine over there, and like they're not fine.
They're
and
not
then
fine.
Speaking from the wedding coordinator's perspective, then we're dealing with it.
If you could take them to a restaurant and they are totally fine on their own, I think then that is a sign of like, oh, they could sit
by themselves.
Yeah. But they still need to be accompanied with other people, because that's not a good experience for them to go to a wedding.
Yeah.
Not only can they not sit next to the people that they feel most comfortable around.
Yeah.
But now they're going to be sitting around people that they don't know. It's like,
I think the only other thing I've seen that works is if you are having a separate like babysitter, or like a, you know what I mean, like a whole separate room where
that's good for like toddlers.
Yeah. And they're just like bringing, like, there's babies, like, again, so there is adults helping them eat. But like they're bringing the kids' meals or whatever up to this other room. Then that works out well too. But yeah, I guess thinking about that, like, do you need high chairs? Can this kid sit in their own chair? I have a lot of our clients that, and like, again, I don't have kids, so I don't really know, right? I'm like, I don't know, he's 2. Does he need a high chair? Like, what's the age where that happens? So talking to, like, literally just talking to the parents and seeing what would work best, I think is probably a good option for kids.
Random fun fact, as far as a toddler seat, it's not really like, at least I don't think it's a particular age that the kids aren't in a high chair. One, if their ass is too big, then they need to get out and they need to go sit. But there's plenty of times where Kieran, who's 2, is this dainty little kid, and he doesn't sit in a high chair. He just sits in the booth. But other times, depending on his mood, I'll be like, "No, your ass is sitting in a high chair today. Where we're not dealing with this. You are locked in. You can't move."
Yeah.
So I think it's usually up to the parent, but I think for the couples out there, just make sure that the venue also has high chairs.
Because sometimes that's something that you need to additionally rent or something too.
100%.
Yeah. And then I think like the last part of just kind of like this overall designing your seating plan, and this might sound obvious, but it happens all the time that it's like not done correctly, is like, where is the dance floor? Where is the bar? Who are you putting next to the speaker? Like, just really thinking about that. Is this table, like, oftentimes we have to maybe move a table later because the guest count's high and it's kind of on the dance floor, or we're flipping tables. A lot of times tables are struck, so removed completely, like at the end of the night. So, just really thinking about the physical placement within the venue and what makes the most sense, because grandma is going to complain if she's right next to the speaker, and that might be right by the head table because the DJ is going to be set up right there.
Yep,
but if I had a nickel for every time a grandma just told me to turn down the music, and I'm like, I can't turn down the music. Like, there's 150 people in this room.
Turn down for what, Grandma? Turn down for what?
Grandma?
For you? Expect you on the dance floor. Come on.
Yeah, just get up.
Yeah, I bumped it up louder because I heard you can't hear. Okay?
Turn down for what? Okay, so you've got all this figured out. It's a giant nightmare. You've worked really hard on putting together this whole like seating chart behind the scenes, right? You've gone back and forth. You've had 5 million cancellations. Now you need to actually display it at the wedding for folks to be able to find their seats. So there's a few different kind of physical pieces that you'll want to think about.
Okay.
Again, assigned seating versus assigned tables. If you are just doing assigned tables, you can...
The asses can go anywhere.
The asses can go anywhere at the table.
Okay.
So you would just need a seating chart.
Okay.
That could be like you
Table
often see a poster board. Yes. That could be, some people have these really gorgeous creative seating chart displays that are like records or this, the fucking skyline of Los Angeles. Like, all these, there's Pinterest, there's a million gorgeous seating chart options.
You got your own 24 karat gold necklace with your name engraved on it with your seat number.
Exactly. Yeah. So that would be, though, an escort card versus a seating chart.
How do you get an escort card?
An escort card is if it's like something individual. So it's like a table setup or it's on the piano. And like you said, there's an individual thing that says Kyle Jackson, table 6.
So it's in is it in the cocktail area?
Probably positioned in the cocktail area. I'm asking these questions
because I'm like, I don't really take photos of the table cards too often.
Unless it's a cool display.
Unless it's already out, yes.
A cool display.
Like, wait, where do I normally
But if they're
see
just
these?
cards, yeah. So if it's anything individual, that's considered an escort card. You're escorting them to their table by telling them what table to go to. Mm-hmm. A seating chart would just be literally a larger...
big stained glass thing.
Yes, a larger display kind of saying the same thing, what table for them to go to. Mm-hmm. Then there is the addition of a place card, which would actually be at their place at the table.
So that's when they walk around, you see all the people like, oh, is this where
right. So the seating chart told them to go to table 8, and then there will be a place card on each seat telling them which chair to sit their butt into.
The place, so the place card would say like, oh, Kyle's sitting at table 1, and then they walk over.
That's the escort card.
Escort card.
And then, so you grab your escort card by the bar, and then you go to the table, and at your seat says
the place
Kyle.
Card. I see.
Yes.
I see.
So the place card is a piece that you may or may not need, again, depending on if you want to design it that way. Mm-hmm. Generally, if you're doing a buffet or a family style, you don't need to have assigned seating. You don't need to make place cards.
Yep.
If you are doing a plated meal, generally you do have to have place cards because not only does the caterer need to know what chair they're sitting in, but it will have like a meal indicator or something on that card. Gotcha. So if you see on the card, it has like a little cow or a little fish. So these are all things to think about, again, early, because I have had clients that didn't get the meal response, and then they do a plated meal, and then they're going back and trying to gather all this stuff and put it it's a whole task. Yeah. So,
man, we should really make something to talk about this.
Escort cards versus seating chart versus place cards are kind of like the main pieces of that. Table numbers are a part of that whole process. So you're, again, telling someone to go to table 7, but maybe you're telling them to go to the Lil Jon table, like you said. Or,
and Grandma's sitting over there.
Or the Sydney, Australia table because you actually have, city names instead of table numbers.
Australians over there. Sorry about that.
Bad, actually. An Australian accent's kind of hard.
I'm trying to think of Iggy Azalea or something like that.
That's the first Australian you thought of?
Yes, absolutely. After that is Steve Irwin.
Well, that.
Oh, crocky, mate.
Okay.
He's doing the. All right. Kyle derails conversation. Take 5.
Shrimp on the barbie. Mine sounds British.
Yeah, that sounds a little British.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'm really trying to think of an Australian accent right now. I'm trying to way too hard.
I love that you thought
Arnar.
Oh, yeah.
Arnar.
Oh, I do like that.
Arnar.
So those are all the pieces you need to think about when it comes to seating charts, layouts,
good job, Allie.
And place cards. Kyle's crying, he's laughing. I think we kind of hit all of the main points, but yes, this is kind of a complicated one. It can be a real pain in the ass. So I just encourage you to think about it on the early side, start building it, and literally as you are getting RSVPs in, if you've already got half of it built, then it's a lot easier to kind of start peppering in those B-list people or your work friends or the people you're not sure that are going to come and go from there.
I mean, I feel like if you really need help, hit us up. We might have a resource for you to be able to.
We're working on a resource. We're working on a resource. But yeah, there's also I will say there's a lot of apps and different integrations. No, I was going to say integrations with like wedding websites. So if you have your wedding website is on the Knot, like it will allow guests to RSVP on there, and then it will allow you to build your seating chart all on the app, which is like really handy to use. So if you are already using the Knot or Zola or one of these with Joy, all these other wedding websites, integrations, then consider doing like online RSVPs and using that same platform, because that can also simplify your life.
Nice.
I think that's all.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Peace.